So welcome back. As you can see, actually I've changed location. Unfortunately yesterday's recording didn't work so well, so I'm going to have to repeat the word, but it won't be exactly the same because I can't remember what I said. But we are this morning going to be looking at Psalm 23, and it's a great reminder about a shepherd and his sheep. We can know the psalmist, which was David, probably used this figure just to recall the blessings that he enjoyed from the Lord. David was originally a shepherd boy, and as we know, the shepherd knows his sheep by their name, and also certainly by their faces too, if you could read up on that particular subject. And that's the same for our shepherd, isn't it? That God knows our names individually. He knows everything about us. And it's often said that he knows the number of hairs on our head. Second part, I shall not want. It doesn't mean that we can have what we want. We can pray and God will just automatically give us things that we want. But rather, like the shepherd and the sheep, he will give things to us which are appropriate at that time. Food, warmth and security. God provides for us relative to our situations, because each of our situations can be different at different times. And if we think about over the last 4, 5, 6 months where we've been isolating, we know that everybody's been different. Some people have been isolating with one or two other people. Some have been by themselves. Some have been continually going out because they've had to work. But God places people to help other people. I know from our own experience, without our family, Jane and I, whilst we were being isolating, it'd been very difficult to get out and actually get food in shops, and people have been there to support us, and I'm sure that's been the same for you. But also, if we feel that we're at home and we can't do anything, we can always do things for other people, like pray for them, or pick up the phone and just leave a message. Whilst we live on this earth, and as long as we live it with God and allow him to live it with us, then we can experience the deep joy and satisfaction and security that the sheep knows in the presence of its good shepherd. We know that life is not a bed of roses, but we can deeply and gratefully be aware of God's continuing presence with us through his Holy Spirit. It's just because of that, however, David declares, we can be sure of him when things do not go so well. When the light fades and we find ourselves in darkness. The phrase literally used in the psalm is the valley of darkness. And it's the idea that God comforts us and strengthens us whilst we're in these different types of darknesses. It could be in times of depression. It could be times of serious illness or rejection from friends. But it is so because we are human. But the thing about the shepherd, he keeps his sheep safe, and that's the same with God with us. We have that internal security. He will never let us go because we are his children. And we know that we shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever, ever. And it talks about actually lying down in green pastures. And it's all about spiritual nourishment, isn't it? Just as a shepherd leads his sheep to fresh grass, then Jesus will lead us on. Because of what we will never lack any spiritual nourishment. People who know sheep say that hungry sheep will not lie down. When sheep are lying down in green pastures, it means that they have their tummies full. And it's like that with us. Christ is our sufficiency. We have that Jehovah Jireh. And Jesus said, I am the bread of life, and whoever comes to me will never hunger and never thirst, as it says in John. He leads us by still waters. Another blessing that comes from the Lord is spiritual restoration. Just as a shepherd will lead his sheep to calm waters, where they can be restored, their energies restored. And that's the same for us, that the Lord will take us to still waters so he can still our raging hearts at some different points of our lives. And the Lord provides forgiveness and peace for those who follow him. The blessing also comes from the Lord's leading his guidance in the right way, paths of righteousness. A good shepherd knows the right paths on which to take his sheep. And likewise, the Lord is the same for us. Sometimes we're drawn to different paths and we're not sure if this is the right way or that's the right way. But we know that the Lord has our hearts in his heart, in his hands. And he wants to lead us into different ways. Perhaps ways that we feel we don't need to go. But the Lord knows. And that's the same for us individually. That's the same for us as a church. That God will lead us in the paths which are the right way for us. Just trying to collect my thoughts as I'm reading here. I'm reminded of that song, that the Lord's my shepherd. But the refrain which we've put in now is, I will trust in you alone. We can trust because God gives us that security. We can trust because God gives us our daily bread. We can trust because he will lead us when times are hard. We can trust in all things because of who he is and what he's done for each one of us. Is the Lord your shepherd? Or is he just a figure that you just think about from time to time? Is he everything to you? Will you allow him to guide you through troubled times? Will you allow him to guide your steps in his path? Will you allow him into your life? You may have done that already, but are you going to allow him into all areas of your life? Will you put your whole trust in everything and in him? Amen. Thank you for being with us this morning. If anything has come to you out of this morning's service, then please contact one of the leaders. We'd be pleased to talk and to pray with you. We're going to close now with that song I just spoken about, The Lord is my shepherd. See you soon.